out there somewhere, alone and frightened. Oh, the darkness, the days are long. Life been hiding, now I'm making new contracts. Now more loving arms run around my neck.
Take my hand now, I'm tired and lonely. Give me love, give me hope. Don't desert me, don't reject me. All I need is love and understanding.
Today is me, tomorrow someone else. It's me and you, we gotta stand up and fight. We'll share a light in the fight against hate. Let's come around, let's come together, fight hate. In times of joy, in times of sorrow, let's take a stand and fight until the end. With open hearts, let's stand out and speak out to the world. We'll say some life, say the children of the world. Let's be open, advise the young ones, a new generation to protect and love. Hear them singing, playing, laughing. Let's give them everything in truth and love.
Take the message, cross the frontier, break the barrier, we'll fight together. The doors are open, we'll lead the struggle. We won't bow down, and defeat will fight on.
Today is me, tomorrow someone else. It's me and you, we gotta stand up and fight. We'll set a light in the fight against hate. Let's come out and stand together, fight hate. In times of joy, in times of sorrow, let's take a stand and fight until the end. We open hearts, let's stand up and speak out to the world. We'll save some life, save the children of the world.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Sanbonani, Mulimutia Habari. My name is Victor Mukasa, your host here at the Victor Mukasa Show. This is our second program today, World AIDS Day 2021. And remember, the theme for this World AIDS Day is none other than End Inequalities and AIDS. There's nothing else we'll be talking about today here at the Victor Mukasa Show. We shall only be observing World AIDS Day because this is a very important thing. This is when we all renew our commitments to fighting HIV and AIDS, which is still a scourge in this world. Now, the song that just played is by Philip Bongole Lutaya, a very respected Ugandan musician and artist. I mean, artist and human rights activist. He died of HIV and AIDS in 1987, and he sang that song at a time when it was the most lonely thing to feel when you have HIV and or AIDS. Like I said in my earlier program, I have seen it, I have smelt it, I have touched it, and learned about it mostly when my parents died of HIV and AIDS in 1990, in the same year, and I saw them diminishing, diminishing slowly by slowly. Now we have a lot of advancements that have been made in the fight, in this fight, and so many LGBT organizations taking on the fight in their communities, and also individuals, as we are going to see in this program. Now we have a special guest today. This special guest is also from Kenya, in Nairobi. Salute Madeline Morik from Amsterdam. Dorian from Kenya, salute to you. Jones Grahams from Kakuma Camp. Gloria Kariaga, my icon. I salute you all and welcome to the Victor Mukasa Show. We have a special guest, George Barasa, also known as George Barrow, a Kenyan activist and a gay man living positively with HIV. George Barrow is here to tell us his story. The story from when he actually found out he had HIV AIDS to date, where we see him thriving in this world and a very hopeful individual. I thought that this person would be the best person for us.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Georgie Barrow. I'm also known as George Barasa, but mononymously Georgie Barrow. I am pleased to be here today. I am a human rights activist, and I advocate for the rights of the LGBTIQ at an international level. I am also an artist, I'm a singer, I'm a gospel musician, and I believe in God as the healer of all diseases and health conditions in the world. I mean, nothing is beyond God if you can only put your belief in Him. What do I say?
I hadn't done justice to that introduction, and I think that you have given a better introduction of yourself than I did. I'm just so excited to have you here, George Barrow. I know that you're from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. Is that
Yeah, I'm
where
from
you are now?
Nairobi, Kenya. Sorry?
Where are you right now?
Right now, I'm in Canada, where I currently reside as a permanent resident.
Why
And
Canada right now?
yeah, I'm in Canada right now.
Why are you in Canada? What is happening in Canada?
Um, I live in Canada in exile, so I came here as a refugee.
I see. Is it the
Yeah,
homophobia back at home?
yeah, there was so much homophobia back at home, and my life was in danger, and my work was put in jeopardy. So the only alternative I had was to leave the country or face um, homophobic laws, which,
Yes.
yeah.
I have seen a lot of videos about you on the internet where you were challenging systems in Kenya, challenging politicians and policymakers, and calling for equality in Kenya. I think that you're a very, very brave person, George, and I'm glad that you're in a safe place. a safe place where you can still serve the communities back at home. But I'm sure the Canadians are lucky to have you in their community.
Oh, they're very lucky, and I know that for a fact because I know I'm very good at what I do.
I believe you. I believe you. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
so glad to have you here. I'm so privileged. George,
Yes.
I have read stories about you, articles about you, and I learned that you are an openly gay man who is actually living positively with HIV, with HIV.
With HIV, that's the
Yes,
correct way to put it. I'm
with
living
HIV.
positively with HIV for
Yes.
the past 10 years. I've been like so. And so it's been quite a journey, I can say, and I have so much experience. I joined the veterans and long-term survivors of HIV. Uh,
And that's why we have you here today, because you have so much experience and you have done a lot of work around this scourge, fighting this scourge. When did you find out that you are HIV positive? How did you find out, and when was that?
I had actually attempted to commit suicide when I was taken into an ER at a hospital called Metropolitan Hospital in Nairobi. And so when while I was there, this doctor asked me questions. I mean, he took one look at me and based on what he was seeing on my body and my body shape and everything, he suggested uh, in addition to first aid that I was given, that I should take a HIV test. So I did blood work with them, and I
Hmm.
was told to come back after 4 days. So I went back in about 4 days, and the psychiatrist who was tasked to give me the information could not give me the information because I had actually attempted suicide when I went there in the first place. So he didn't know how to break the news to me. And so he met me in his office, and then after introducing himself and taking a long while, he excused himself to go out to the washrooms and then said
Hmm.
he's going to be back. So as soon as he left, I flipped back the piece of paper that was on the table.
Hmm.
And so it was my name there printed in black, HIV positive. And
Wow.
just like that, it's
Wow.
it sank in so quickly, it hit me so hard. I was shocked, but I was not surprised because I was very withdrawn.
Yes. And those days, that was such heartbreaking news.
It was such heartbreaking news because even the psychiatrist himself could not bring himself to tell me about my status. So it's something that I just had to find out by myself eventually. And
In that
it
moment,
circles around the prejudice about towards people living with HIV, people who are gay,
yeah.
because that was one of the reasons why I had attempted suicide, and they were aware of that at the hospital. So I became positive at a time when being HIV positive and being gay was really, really a very tricky
You faced
situation.
double stigma. Did you have family? Were you with family at that point when
No,
you
I
found
had
out?
been disowned by my own family, and I was living in the city. I was renting an apartment, and I was back to school. I had enrolled back to school doing my final year in school. And so I was all on my own without any support system whatsoever. So it was really, really a very tough situation, I can say.
What was going on in your mind at that point? Like, I'm HIV positive. Am I going to die?
I didn't have any idea. I didn't have any idea what to do, where to go from here, how to get my medication, who to speak to. So there are two people who I would like to recognize and actually thank them for standing up with me
Mm.
during that period. And that is Dennis Nzioka,
Uh-huh.
um, of Dennis Nzioka.
Yes.
Uh, and Utunzi. And also, I would like to thank John Matenge, the sex workers organization called Hoimas director. I would like to thank him, both of them, for holding my hand and showing me the way and giving me hope and reason to live. And it's out of that I am here where I am today.
When in the past, around the time that my parents died, if you had HIV, you
Yeah.
didn't look like you look. It was a different story. I look at you now and I see positivity. And I
How
see
do I
life.
look?
I see positive. The only things that come to my mind is positive, life, alive. It's all positive stuff. And I am just wondering, for a person, a gay man, a queer
And,
person, a transgender person out there who is HIV positive and
and
actually is confused right now about what to do with life, what would you say to them?
oh, me, I can only tell them to live. I can only tell them to live their life,
Mm,
because if they don't live their lives, then who will? You know, when you realize you're gay, it's one thing, but when you realize you're HIV positive plus,
mm,
then you will also realize that you have a purpose in this
mm,
world. And then what is your purpose to this world? What is the reason to being alive? Why are you here? Why do you exist? All these questions should ponder in your mind, so you can make informed decision. And suicide and living reckless life and giving up and waiting to die is not living. It's not. And I
mm,
actually discourage people who decide to go to quack doctors and take concussions and think that it's gonna cure their HIV.
mm,
Up to now, the cure has not yet been found, but the medication, the treatment gets better. Right now, we are getting towards a point where we are going to have injections, which
wow,
can be administered once every 2 months. It's already being practiced in Canada.
that's
So we are
advancement.
moving from the days when you have to hide your medication to take, where you have to hide medication when you're going to club and things like that. We're going to that point where you make appointment with a doctor and then you go and get your injection and you're fine and you live undetectably for a very
Mm,
long time. So I can only tell somebody who is HIV positive and gay to own their sexuality first, and
mhm.
second, to own their HIV status. You know, HIV has long been associated with gay people because
Yeah.
one, the first, the zero patient,
Mm.
not the first patient, but the zero patient
Patient zero,
was
yes.
was gay.
Mm.
So there's a lot of stigma around that when you become HIV positive and you're gay, is that you're paying for your sins. But that
Mm.
is not it, because people
Mm.
who are HIV positive, they're not just gay alone. We have straight people, we have
Yeah.
trans people, we have intersex, we have all these people who are HIV positive and they
Mm.
belong to different gender and sexualities.
Mm.
So you cannot blame yourself and
Mm.
have self-internalized homophobia and self-internalized stigma, because you won't live long like that.
Mm.
The health is all about physical and mental.
Mm.
Without either of it, you won't survive for a very long time. Look at me. Physically, I look like this, and this is exactly how I look like mentally. The
Yes.
way I handle myself, the way I carry myself, the way I I treat myself with care, the way I pamper myself with applying lotion on my face,
Yes.
just self-care. It all goes down to these little things that we do, yet they mean so much for our survival.
We can't
And I'm
lose
saying our
ourselves.
survival, yeah, and I'm saying for our survival because we are survivors. We are not patients. We are not sick.
Yes.
We are survivors.
Mhm.
That is why we are called HIV survivors. You don't find that
You're teaching us.
yeah, this thing of the medical terminologies that we are moving away from, things like
Mm,
HIV patients, these are
mm,
terminologies that are only used in hospitals and
yeah,
rarely
yeah.
nowadays. But I
Mm,
find it that it's being used in Canada. But in a place like Kenya, it wouldn't be used. In Kenya, we use clients. When you go to a VCT,
you don't say
Voluntary
patients.
Counseling and Testing Center, they
Mhm,
refer to you as a client. Sometimes they even refer you by your number, but
mm,
not a patient. So,
mm.
being a survivor, you should actually tap your back and say, I am joining a list of survivors. I'm privileged to have this HIV because I know how it feels to
Mhm.
have HIV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, George, thank you so much for sharing this with us. You're from Kenya, and
I am
you're,
from
you're still
Kenya.
connected with your community there. And in
Exactly.
Kenya, we have a lot of gay men. We have a lot of queer people in Kenya, but not just
Yeah.
Kenyans. We also have queer refugees in Kenya
Yeah.
who could be going
Yeah.
through the same situations. Let us
Yeah.
say I was one of those people, or there is somebody out there listening, and they're in Kenya. They have just found out that they're HIV positive. What would your guidance be? Where do they go first? You know, what is the first place they want to go to?
I would tell them first, especially refugees and
Mm,
fugitives
mm,
who are fleeing away because of the persecution based on their sexuality and
mm,
gender, and sometimes even HIV itself. I
mm.
want to tell you that I've been a refugee myself. I've lived through that experience for 2 years, and so I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
And the fact that you made a decision to leave your home, the comfort of your home, because it was no longer safe, you
Mhm.
made the most important decision in your life.
To stay
And
here.
never doubt yourself about that. So, what I can only tell them is that if you are a refugee, then you really know your purpose in life. And therefore, you should be in a position to know that you have to take your medication faithfully. If
Mm,
you're HIV positive, if you're not, you have to know that I have to use PrEP because it's no longer safe. You can't even trust your husband.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
we are
mm.
living in those
True
eras
life.
where you can't. So so don't take chances. If you're
Reality.
HIV negative,
Yeah.
trust me, you don't wish to be HIV positive. But sadly, it has already happened. So what is the next step? Are you gonna just sit, wallow, cry
PTSD.
yourself to death?
Uh-huh.
No, you're gonna be there. You're gonna stand up and live for others, for
Because it's
yourself
been
and
10
for
years for
others.
you. It's 10
Yeah,
years for you. And I think that
10
you're the best
years.
example that all of us can look at.
10 years, and you can imagine how old am I? I just celebrated my birthday the other day. I'm
Belated
turning
happy birthday
31.
again. I wished you a nice one, and I wished you a nice one. It says it's your birthday period.
Yeah, it's my birthday. It was on 28th, and I'm
Yeah.
turning 31, but I don't look 31
You don't
because
look 31, you don't look a lot of things.
I don't look a lot of things. I don't even look gay.
I need my spectacles to confirm that for you, but what I see before me here is different.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. It's
Yeah.
interesting times.
So we had Peter and Johnny, executive director of Ishta MSM in
Yes.
Nairobi, and he
And
shared the good work that they're doing in Kenya with men who have sex with men. And apart from, I just wanted to check with you. Apart from Ishta MSM as an organization providing services. Where else do you know of other places in Kenya, in Nairobi, or other places in Kenya where people, queer people, can go to have their testing, as safe testing with dignity, and also and or have treatment, seek treatment?
One of the places that I've even myself I have accessed services from
Mm,
is Ishta MSM. They really stand out for one particular reason. It's the only gay uh, organization that caters for uh, men who have sex with men,
mm,
gay men, bisexual men
mm,
who are living positively with HIV, or those
mm,
who are seeking HIV
mm,
uh, test and services.
mm,
So I really would like to applaud Ishta MSM for
mm,
standing up for that since the 90s. I mean,
mhm,
you've really done a very wonderful work.
mhm.
And I would also like to applaud Peter Njane for the work that he's been doing for the LGBTQ community in general. I
Mm,
mean, Ishta MSM is an oasis. I can
mm,
only call it an oasis
mm,
that where uh, gay people find comfort in knowing that they can actually disclose their status and not be
yeah,
judged.
yeah.
Where the nurse is probably gay,
Mm,
where the director is gay,
mhm,
where, where everyone around you is either gay, bisexual, or trans,
mm,
where you feel at home. There
mm,
are other places that offer services, HIV services and testing, like
mhm,
SWAP, which caters for sex workers,
mhm.
including male sex workers.
Okay.
There is also I'm not so sure because it's been a while since I was last in the country. It's
Yes.
almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
So there is Hoimas,
Point.
which is a male sex workers organization,
Mm-hmm.
and it covers the broader spectrum of sex workers, including bisexuals and gays and so on.
Yeah.
And we also have LVCT, Liverpool.
Liverpool. Yes.
Liverpool, Liverpool is also one of the best place where you can seek, I can say, high class services.
I see.
Classes. I mean, services that are of standard.
Mm-hmm.
Where everything is done routinely and at schedules. Uh, At Liverpool is where I used to access my services.
Mm-hmm.
I used to access my HIV care and
Mm-hmm.
treatment
Mm-hmm.
for quite a very long time
Mm.
before before I flew to South Africa.
South Africa.
It was it was very helpful to me because they were also trying to understand LGBT people and understand how stigma works. And
Mm.
so I worked with them aside from being their client. I worked
Mm.
with them. So we developed, we developed journals on how to treat HIV positive gay men, bisexuals, and
It
trans
was a very powerful
women.
organization back then. I remember Angus Parkinson. Uh,
Parkinson.
Parkinson, yeah, used to represent the organization in various spaces, and I knew that it was an amazing institution providing these services. So
True.
if you're in Kenya, especially Nairobi, and you're queer, you just had some of those organizations that could offer you some help. And whether you're Kenyan or refugee, we have groups such as Ishta MSM in Nairobi, we have Hoimas, we have LVCT, Liverpool VCT, and many others. You can reach out to Georgie,
Yeah.
and you can also reach out to Peter and Jani that we had this morning, or just search online. I think that the activists in Kenya are very accessible, and that these services are also um, accessible. So, Georgie, I know that talking about HIV here and your status being positive but positively living is not Georgie Barrow.
Yeah.
I think that at some point you are going to be back here to talk to us, take us back in history, your journey as a human rights defender in Kenya, and all the work, the amazing work that you have done, because it hasn't been only HIV and AIDS, it has been a lot of things. George Barrow is a musician, like a real musician, like the one that people go and watch and even pay to watch. A very,
Even
very
paid.
talented, a very talented activist, musician, artist. George Barrow has started a church together with another in Kenya. We would love to hear that story. A church that caters for queer people, that is accepting of queer people. There are so many things that George has done, and I think that the purpose of the Victor Mukasa show is to amplify our work, to amplify our successes, to amplify our fighters, to amplify our lives, to listen to each other. And what better way than bring LGBT people themselves to tell their stories? So I really thank you so much, Georgie. And World AIDS Day 2021, what is your message to LGBT
My
people,
message for
to activists, to governments, and to whoever you believe should hear you today?
my message first, I would say that these organizations such as ISTA, MSM, they do not exist because they just want to be there. They just want to be participants. No,
Mm, mm,
they exist because of us, and we are human regardless of our sexuality and our gender. I'm sure even
mm,
a straight man who is confused about sexuality and STIs, if they
mm,
go to ishta MSM, they would still get services.
mm,
So these places need support. So go to their website, click on their donate button and donate something to help them keep going so they can be able to reach many other people, including the refugees. They are serving
yes.
refugees as
Mm,
well.
that's wonderful.
So it's very important that we support them in as much as we go to seek services from them. I myself, I used to seek services from Ishta MSM, and they
Mm,
really helped me a lot. And the confidentiality was so. Um, um,
yes, that was a message from Alban Patel in Kakuma camp. Uh, you
Thank you
inspire
so
them in
much.
the refugee camp, and you're coming
Thank
out
you so
and
much
then
for the
strong.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second thing I would like to say is that you can now live long life with HIV. So
Mm-hmm.
forget about being gay. That let's put that one aside for now. Let's imagine that you're HIV positive. You
Mm.
are going to live longer than you can imagine. You're going to have a family, you're going to have a career. And my
I believe
message to
that
you
because
is
you
that
are a
you should
testimony.
not give up because I am a living testimony. I
Mm-hmm.
am here. I have achieved. I am back to school. I'm in the campus. I'm in the university. I am doing so well. I am in Canada. And so you too can achieve that. Just because you're a refugee in Kakuma camp and you feel like your process is taking forever, your time for blessing is coming very soon, and you're going to be resettled to a third country where you'll have a chance to start your life again, and you will achieve everything that you always wished for and always wanted. You know, those opportunities that you're not being given right now. Let me tell you, as a refugee, as a former refugee, that you who is a refugee, you who is a fugitive, you should not give up, because there is a time that is coming when you'll have all these opportunities. Keep fighting for your cases. I love the way you guys are resilient, and you're not just resilient, you're also standing up for yourselves. You know, you're not just being resilient because somebody else is advocating for you. No, you're advocating for yourselves. And I like that. Have this uh, spirit of, I do not want to be resilient. I do not want to be just somebody who enjoys poverty, problems, and what have you. Be somebody who wants to go beyond being resilient to being successful. And you can achieve that if you believe in yourself and if you take that single pill every single day. I take a single pill every single day, and that is why I am here today. And you, HIV positive or negative, you should be taking that single pill every single day for you to achieve that dream. And yes, you can. Remember, HIV Kenya is number 4 in countries that are having new infections in the world. Yeah, that is very close to the leading number 1, which is South Africa, with the highest HIV infections in the world. So if you are in Kenya, you're not any different from somebody who is in South Africa. So you have to take care of your bodies. Take care of your bodies. Black bodies is pure. It is not a body to play with. It's not a body to mess with. It's not a body to carelessly, deal with it. Take care of your bodies. Take care of Black bodies. When we are busy advocating for Black Lives Matter, we are not advocating for people who are going to be, admitted in the hospitals. No, we are advocating for people who can actually, stand up and say, I can be counted. So are you being counted? Are you one of them? And if you have not come out about your status, don't worry. You're not in a rush. We're not in a rush to know. So first, make sure that you're taking your medication. First, it doesn't matter what people say. People will always talk. Even if you don't have HIV, people will always say you have HIV. So do not listen to what people say. If you listen to what people say, you're not going to last long. You have to fight for what you believe in. And if you believe in life and if you believe in living, then life is for the living. Okay?
Wow, I just didn't want you to stop talking, George.
I could go on and on
I
because
just
I
didn't
feel
want you to.
inspired each time I talk. I feel
Yes,
inspired as well.
yes, and you inspire a lot of people, as you have seen, and I'm sure there are so many people out there that you have spoken to today. You have spoken to me, and I have learned a lot. And if we could all pick something from what Georgie Barrow has shared with us today, we have life. We have life. It is a contributing factor to our lives in the next 1 year until the next World AIDS Day. Georgie, thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you so
story
much.
with
Anytime.
viewers of the Victor Mukasa Show. We really thank you so much. We thank you for your brevity. We thank you for your caring for our communities, because you could just sit over there in Canada and have a blast. But you choose to come and tell people, look here, I'm HIV positive and I am alive and I have dreams and I have a future and I'm thriving. And I think that means a lot to a gay person, a queer person out there who could be wondering if life has come to an end or not. Thank you for coming
Thank
to.
you so much. I miss Kenya so much and I hope to be back one day. Mwah.
Gracias, gracias, gracias. Thank you so much. That was Georgie Barrow. You can also call him George Barasa, an HIV activist from Kenya, now based in Canada. Georgie is positively living with HIV. HIV, according to what he has said to us today, does not govern him. In fact, he manages HIV and encourages all of us to find out what our status is or are, to go for treatment. Georgie says he takes a pill a day, and that's it. He talks about self care. He talks about loving ourselves and believing in ourselves. So if you're out there and you have tested HIV positive, it is not the end of the world. Georgie is a living testimony. And if you want to get in touch with Georgie Barrow, you can reach out to me. You can also look for him on Facebook. He goes as George Barasa, as you see the name down on the screen. Please just reach out to George and get that information that you might need. If you're in Kenya, please reach out to Ishta, MSM, LVCT, Hoimas, and all the other organizations that George has named and Pete Njane mentioned this morning. The theme for this year's World AIDS Day is End Inequalities and AIDS. The fight is still on, and we still stand up against the virus. Thank you very much. You can get back to this video again on YouTube. It will be here on Facebook, but we will also have the audio of this program on the Victor Mukasa Show podcast on Spotify and Anchor. Thank you so much. See you next time. Au revoir. Muera.